Everyone is always trying to look for balance in their life, but really it has nothing to do with balance and everything to do with alignment. Your priorities are actually spiritual before they are practical. It has nothing to do with balance and everything to do with what brings peace and where you can find a rhythm within the things that you're doing. Faith as your foundation. When you are with somebody that you truly are aligned with, it's not going to feel like you have to figure out the balance between romance and responsibility. You're going to be able to create this rhythm and flow. The relationship that God chooses for you will not drain you. It should be able to pour into you. It's not balance that most of us are looking for. It is a good rhythm. It is something that we can find peace in while we're juggling 100 other things. I don't think life ever really looks balanced at all. Balance is not actual balance. Balance is just a seeking of peace.
This Feels Holy is a sacred space for raw, honest conversations about faith, growth, and becoming who God called you to be. When life doesn't look or feel put together, we explore what it means to walk with God through the mess, the miracles, the waiting, and the whispers. Let's share our truth unfiltered. Slow down with me. I invite you to experience His joy. And here's your daily reminder that even in the ordinary moments, this feels holy.
In today's episode, we are going to be talking about a question that you have asked me on Instagram of how to balance your faith, fitness, career, all while building a relationship with God and a potential husband or wife. So I'm sure a couple of you have heard this before, where somebody is like, I really can't do this anymore because I realize I just don't have time to start a whole new relationship. Or it's not you, it's me. I need to work on myself. While that may be true, if that's happening, it's because there is a misalignment. Everyone is always trying to look for balance in their life, but really it has nothing to do with balance and everything to do with alignment. Your priorities are actually spiritual before they are practical. Now that I am in a loving relationship and I am pursuing this business, there's so many other things that are happening in my life. I actually am looking at my life. I'm like, wow, I'm doing so much more than I ever thought was possible. And I don't know how I'm finding balance. And to be honest, it has nothing to do with balance and everything to do with what brings peace and where you can find a rhythm within the things that you're doing. Because let's look at the examples of mothers, right? They are working at their business or their career, showing up their job. They're taking care of their children every single day. They're coming home, cooking, cleaning, doing all the things for their husband. And they seem to have an endless amount of energy. And if they are happy, if they feel spiritually aligned, if they're feeling fulfilled with God, with their husband, with their children, when things are in alignment, it is like they have this enormous amount of energy that is like an Energizer bunny. And it's like they don't run out, right? I'm sure they do, but it seems like they're holding it together because they have balance. But the truth is, it's not balance, it's alignment and feeling fulfilled before they're pouring out. I have been in the thick of this myself, right? If you guys have followed my journey, I used to be this crazy boss babe. I have been balancing relationships with friendships, building new friendships, throwing sisterhood events while still posting videos every single day and showing up for my husband, cooking and cleaning. And there's just so many things that I do in my day to day. I realized that before, when I was doing all of this and I was doing it out of alignment, I started to grow resentful and feel like I was blaming other people for the way that my life turned out when I just felt like I was busy and going all the time. And now I'm still doing those same things, but because I feel alignment and because I feel fulfillment with God, I don't see it as such a stressful thing. My capacity obviously has increased through the practice and continuing to immerse myself in this high performing role, right? I have trained myself to manage more over time, but to get there, I had to feel peace or have peace with what I was doing in the first place. And so how do we find this balance, AKA alignment, when it comes to trying to find an ebb and flow and rhythm with all of these things? So first, let's talk about your faith, okay? Faith needs to not be treated as if it's something that you get to do at the end of a long day. Faith and deepening your relationship with God needs to be the very first thing you do. Say you start your day off from ground zero at the beginning, right? If you start off at ground zero and you have not poured into yourself first thing in the morning, and you start pouring into everything else, you start pouring into your business, your relationships, your children, whatever it is that is calling for your attention first thing in the morning, and you do that, you're now bringing your foundation, your baseline lower than the baseline should be. So now you're feeling depleted, you're getting resentful, you're getting angry, energy is low, you're not taking care of yourself. And what else do you think is going to happen when you continue to try and pour into other people? You're going to keep taking away from the energy that you already didn't have. Treating faith and filling your own cup as if it's something that you get to do at the end of a long day is just, it's backwards. It's completely backwards, and it should be flipped. You should start your day off filling your cup by deepening your faith with God. So for me, the most peaceful days always start off with me in the Bible. I go straight into my prayer closet. I get on my knees and I have a conversation with God. Even if it's like, I'm not saying anything, I'm just on my knees and I'm listening to worship music because I'm still waking up. I'm like, God, we're about to have a conversation, but I'm still waking up. But I always start it in my conversation with God. It allows me to relax. It allows me to meditate. It allows me to be in my own sensitive bubble, because when you wake up first thing in the morning, it's a theta state that you're in where your mind is sensitive and receptive to outside sources. So the first thing that you receive in your day, if you're opening up your phone, is going to be how the rest of your day looks. So setting yourself up for success, making sure that you pour into yourself before you check your emails, before you respond to people, and instead choosing to go inwards and speak with God, the Holy Spirit, and Jesus, right? Like choosing to fill your own cup is going to be the most beneficial thing you can do for yourself every single morning. Now I get it. It takes a little bit to develop that routine. It did for myself. But when you start doing this for yourself, even if that means you have to wake up a couple of hours, like an hour earlier, do it. I promise you, it is going to be hands down one of the best things that you do for your mental health. So using faith as your foundation is going to be the first thing you need to do if you want to find peace or balance. Trust me, I have had my struggles with opening my phone first thing in the morning. And every time I do this, I seriously pay attention really close to it now, because I was testing. I had like a test period where I'm like, is it really my phone that's throwing me off? And every single time I open my phone first thing in the morning because I don't want to get out of bed and I'm like scrolling through my phone, my day feels chaotic. I feel so much more depressed. I find myself in this comparison state. I find myself feeling unfocused, like I can't stay on one task for a very long time. And my energy is just so completely off. And so I did this for weeks and I'm like, why do I feel depressed? Why do I feel like I'm not going through, like I'm not getting to where I want to get? Why do I feel unproductive? And it hands down was always because I started my day off wrong. And it was until I got really decisive and took action against my bad habits and said, look, we're not messing around with this anymore. I cannot afford to have a down day again. And so really taking initiative and this is where you get to have the control and setting your own boundaries for yourself and saying, hey, this morning time is set for me and God, and that is it. And doing that will absolutely change your life. And I'm not saying this lightly. I really, truly believe that that's what will change your life. That's like step one. Now let's get into fitness, right? How do you find balance in your fitness? Now, fitness can look different in different seasons. You don't have to be working out at the gym 2 hours a day to be fit. Maybe it's a season where you're just taking longer walks, right? Maybe you're just wanting to get that 10,000 steps in. For me, I am currently in a season of, I don't really feel like I want to work out heavy. I don't want to lift heavy weights. I'm cool with just walking my 10,000 steps. I do a couple of arm exercises, but other than that, I'm keeping it very minimal. And that's just the season I'm in. And instead of focusing in on looking a certain way and toning my body up a certain way, I'm more focused on my business and I'm more focused on my relationship with Dylan. And so understanding that there are seasons when it comes to fitness, but still at the same time honoring any kind of movement in your body. Because remember, it is spiritual before it becomes practical. So fitness and honoring your temple, honoring the body that is housing the Holy Spirit is going to be important for you. You have to at least move your body. And when you move your body, dopamine is released within your body, causing you to feel better throughout the day. Even if, again, it is just taking a walk, even if it is getting a treadmill and moving a little bit while you're working, right? You can find ways to move your body throughout the day. Like my husband, when he's on his phone calls, instead of just sitting at his office desk and taking these calls, he's putting his earphones in and he takes these calls, or he takes his walk while he's on these calls. And so he's knocking out two birds with one stone, but he feels so much better getting outside. And if you want to know the effects of moving your body and you want to get like really granular with why it's so beneficial to even just move your body in the slightest, then I highly suggest watching Andrew Huberman's podcast, because he breaks down everything to the science of it. If you want to understand all of that, he will be probably one of your best resources to check out to understand why moving your body is so important. And this is in all seasons. Moving your body even 20, 30 minutes a day is better than nothing. So choose to respect your temple, respect your body, and learn to discipline yourself into moving at least 20 minutes, 30 minutes a day. That's minimum. Because remember, fitness truly does affect your energy. It affects your clarity, your mental strength. It affects your confidence in so many areas. It affects so many parts and aspects of your life. Some people think that fitness is just the physical aspect of it, like it just helps them look better, but truly it helps boost your mood. It helps boost your spirits. There are so many benefits to just moving your body and taking care of your body. And this also includes what nutrition you add to your body, right? And I am so wildly blown away at the big difference that has happened in my life just by switching to organic whole foods. Okay. I didn't think that this was true because I used to be a fitness competitor, but I used to eat like crap. I used to eat just like non-organic chicken, rice, whenever I needed to buff up before a competition and I could have some carbs. My first thing was like, something really starchy and sweet and sugar filled. I was addicted to sugar. I was at the drive-through lines at Taco Bell and Popeyes getting those chicken sandwiches. Like I was bad. I was so bad. And it used to kind of annoy me because Dylan is really good about that stuff. Like he looks into all that stuff. It used to really annoy me because I'm like, well, who are you to tell me how to eat and blah, 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 blah. I look fine. I look good, right? Because I had the physique of a fitness competitor. But really what was happening with my body was I was getting a lot of brain fog. I was forgetful. My mind, I couldn't focus. Like there were so many things that were being impacted from my nutrition alone. So I was at the gym 2 hours a day, but I wasn't taking care of my body internally and nutritionally. And so it was like counteractive of what I was doing. The nutrition part could very well be more important than the physical aspect. Like you can get away with 15 minutes, 20 minutes of exercise. And if you ate healthy, like you would be okay. So really choosing your nutrition is going to be vital to finding this balance that you're looking for. Now let's talk about your career and your calling. Remember that ambition is a gift given from God, but the gift can become a curse when it's competing with your obedience to God. And so if you're trying to balance a career that is out of alignment, that's not for you, you're going to be meeting it with frustration, confusion, fearfulness, like anxiety around it. It's going to feel like you are stuck, even though you're busy. It's going to feel like you're trying to push the needle forward and force the needle forward, but it's not budging. That's what it feels like to be out of alignment with your career. And when you're out of alignment with career, it feels like you can't achieve balance because you're so stressed about trying to make this career work out. And so sometimes maybe it has nothing to do with your inability to find balance, but it could mean that you're just losing peace and sleep because you're not in the right career. So if you are out of alignment, it's going to be hard to feel balanced because you're not, because you have no peace in what you're doing. Make sure you're checking in with your career. Is it pulling you out of spiritual alignment? Is it pulling you out of a relationship with God? So even if you love your career, but it's become an idol now, right? And it's pulling you away from remembering to ground yourself in the word in the morning, then I would take a second look at that. It doesn't mean you have to leave that career. It doesn't mean that that career is not for you, but maybe you have allowed it to become an idol and a focus on what your life is. And so it's going to feel imbalanced because you're now worshiping and honoring that career over your spiritual alignment. And we never want to do that, right? Because we are spiritual beings, as much as we like to pretend that, we're not. Literally cannot comprehend how people don't see that we are spiritual beings. Like, the fact that we're living and breathing with organs in our body is spiritual. And remember, when you are in alignment with what God has been calling you to, and you are in the right career, you're in the right space, God will bless you and he will give you divine strength to complete the task. He will be with you to overcome those challenges. And even though it doesn't mean that it's going to be easy with God, it will mean that he will strengthen you in it, that he will provide you with the energy and the resolve to make it through it. So there's a difference, right? You can feel the difference internally when something is in alignment. You truly can't define where the energy comes from when you feel the purpose in what you're creating. And it's wild because you'll feel like even though you're tired, you'll still have energy to do and pour into the other things that you also love while still building a business. Like, it's so wild. Don't know how to explain it except for the fact that God gives you strength during these moments, as long as you're walking with him. How do you build a relationship while you're also building yourself? I think a lot of people struggle with this because they feel like there's so many other things going on in their life that there's no way they could possibly entertain a relationship or build a relationship. And I just want to say that that is a negative perspective of looking at things. And if we could focus in on the positive of relationships and what they bring to the table when you have a relationship that is truly in alignment, is far beyond any personal development that you could achieve with anything else, right? Relationships are 100% hands down the best personal growth challenges that you can face that will truly grow you as a person, that will mature you as a person, because now it's not just you focusing in on you. Now you're figuring out how to still focus on you while still pouring into others. So it truly has everything to do with the person that you are with. If you feel like you are beginning this relationship and things feel completely just off, like you feel like you're losing yourself in it, they don't agree with what you're doing, they don't believe in you, they're not supportive of what you're also trying to do, then there could just very well be a misalignment. And if that's the case, then yes, it makes sense to not be in that relationship anymore, because the relationship that God chooses for you will not drain you. It should be able to pour into you. I refer back to my walk with Dylan. And when we first started our relationship, yes, it was challenging because we were both growing through a lot of things. We were both figuring out how to work through some of the trauma that we received from the other relationships, while at the same time still trying to grow in love with each other. And so, yes, we argued a lot in the beginning, but we were always in alignment with our life goals. We were in alignment with how we communicated with each other. We were very honest and truthful from the beginning. And although there were challenging moments, we always found a way to still support each other during those moments. And so, even though there were parts of it that felt like it was draining, the overall feeling that I got when I was with Dylan, and still do to this day, is that we support each other and that we are in alignment with each other. And he honors my boundaries. He honors my spirituality. He challenges me to grow. And because of him, I've learned so much. I've deepened my faith with God. I've matured in so many different areas. And I know he would say the same, because we are aligned. We are equally yoked. And there's a reason why God mentions that in the Bible. You must be equally yoked with who you choose, because if you're not, you're going to feel like it's draining you. You're going to feel like you couldn't possibly manage a new relationship along with all these other things that you're trying to build within your life. So when people tell you that, honestly, if they're trying to break up with you because they feel like they just don't have time for a new relationship, let them go, right? Let them figure it out themselves. There is a misalignment with them, and that's not up for you to determine or choose for them, right? You just let them go. And maybe they are just still so hurt from the past relationship that they couldn't possibly see a healthy future with somebody at this moment in time. So it could just be the wrong timing, right? But regardless, if somebody is going to leave you during these moments because they feel like they need to build themselves up and they're like, oh, I don't want you to wait for me. And but I've heard these excuses before. Do not fight it. Let them go. Let them go because they are on their own journey and path. And if you're looking for your husband, or if you're looking for your wife and they're not ready for that, then stop trying to force something that is not for you. Let God do the rest. Accept what they're telling you as truth, right? Because they're bringing it to you for a reason. And let them go. Let them go. Right? This is where you get to lean on God and trust God and let him work it out for you. Because if that man or woman was supposed to be your person, God would make it so. He would somehow like give him a mind-blowing revelation in the middle of the night and be like, you have to turn back to your wife, or you have to turn back to your husband. But if not, you're not going to hear anything from him. So yay. Right? That's a good thing. When you are with somebody that you truly are aligned with, it's not going to feel like you have to figure out the balance between romance and responsibility. You're going to be able to create this rhythm and flow, and it's not going to feel effortless, right? Don't think that the relationship is just going to happen by you sitting back and be like, oh, well, she has to match my energy or has to fit into my lifestyle. Yes, you have to find compromise and sacrifice to make things work, but it shouldn't feel like scratching nails against a chalkboard. It shouldn't feel like you're fighting something that doesn't feel right? It should feel like you want to figure this out. And so it doesn't feel like a burden, but instead feels like a challenge that you're willing to overcome. All of this is to say, again, that it's not balance that most of us are looking for. It is a good rhythm. It is something that we can find peace in while we're juggling 100 other things. So thinking that life is going to be like, oh, this is the set time that I'm going to do this every single day for the rest of my life. And at night at 9 p.m., I'm going to eat right on time. And then I'm going to fast for 16 hours. That's just not reality. I have not met one person who can stick to the same routine for the rest of their life. Like not one, because there are seasons. Instead of trying to find this rigid system that works time and time again, find something that works for you within that season and learn to find the peace while juggling all of these different responsibilities. Remember, it's a rhythm that you should feel like you're getting a good motion and ebb and flow to it, not a pressure. There's a difference. Think of a dance, right? When you are fluid and you're dancing and you're moving, you feel this rhythm, you can feel the music and flow into it. And if the music changes, you can also change along with the song. Now, if you feel pressure, you think about people like maybe you're at a club, right? And people are too close to you. You feel the pressure and the weight of all of these people surrounding you. You can't move freely. You can't dance and move and ebb and flow. So it's a pressure that actually causes you to stop and break. So there's a difference between finding the rhythm of life instead of just the balance, right? And the pressure. And again, paying attention to the seasons is going to be so beneficial for you. Pay attention. If it's a growth season, is it a time for you to focus in on your career? Maybe it's a time for family. Maybe it's a time for social hour, right? Maybe you are focused in on building new relationships. Just pay attention. Pay attention to those seasons and learn how to give yourself grace during these times, because life is not really ever going to look balanced. In my opinion, I don't think life ever really looks balanced at all. Even being in my relationship with Dylan, I think about the times of when it felt balanced, and I don't think I've ever achieved it. We just go through our seasons. Like this season that Dylan and I are in, we just moved to Miami. And so we're in a grind season. We're in a growth season. We have our heads down, focused in on our business. And we're working on getting situated here in Miami and like getting back into savings and finding a good rhythm with that. So it is a season of business for us. I'm thinking maybe the next season will be where we get more social again, because we have no friends out here. We have no community yet, right? So maybe there's another season coming where we're going to develop more relationships and family. So paying attention to those seasons and allowing yourself the flexibility to move along with the rhythm of those seasons is going to be helpful for you feeling balanced, because really what balance is a feeling of peace in everything that you're doing. And to end this also, I think the main reason why I wanted to do this podcast is because I feel like so many people stop a really good relationship for themselves because they don't feel the balance and the peace. But I want to remind you that relationships truly are one of the best ways to grow and mature in anything in your life. And if you find the right partner, they are going to support you in what you do. They're going to join in on what you do. You guys can go on spiritual walks together. You can go to events together. It truly is like having your best friend with you. There's nothing greater than getting to experience life with your best friend. And I used to be a flight attendant. So I know what it's like to explore the world and have these fun, exciting experiences all by myself and have no one to share it with at the end of the day. Like when I'm done, I don't get to recap it with anyone because nobody was there to experience it with me. Since Dylan and I have been together, now we get to go and we've traveled all of Southeast Asia for 7 weeks. We've gone to Mexico for a couple of months. We've traveled and done all of these fun things together. And now we get to have all of these stories and be like, hey, remember the time when we did this and remember that? And it's just so cool to be able to experience all of that with your partner. So I don't want you to reject the relationship that feels good for you and feels right just because you feel overwhelmed, like you won't be able to balance it all. Just trust that God will expose to you areas that are out of alignment. And if he does, then be ready to obey. But if not, don't get so caught up in the future pacing of it. Like sometimes people want to end these relationships because they think that they have so much going on that they couldn't possibly manage this relationship or even start finding a new relationship. But let it play out. Be honest and true with your heart. Be like, okay, but I really like this girl. I'm gonna give it my all. I'm gonna try. And if there are moments and times where I'm like too focused in on work, I'm just going to be honest with her. Like I need to focus in on this and just be real, and God will reveal to you the misalignment if there is misalignment. But truly, balance is not actual balance. Balance is just the seeking of peace. If you haven't already, please like, subscribe, share. Remind people that we're here building the kingdom. I hope that this was useful for you guys out there who are trying to achieve peace in your life, or trying to figure out how to do your faith, your career, your business while still developing a loving relationship. And I will see you on the next episode. Thanks for tuning in.